Hey everybody, this is Glenn, and in this video I'm going to show you how I'm spring cleaning and sprucing up my blog for 2014. The first change I've made is I have updated my blog theme. I'm using the 2014 WordPress.com theme, which is this year's default theme. So if you start a new blog with WordPress.com, this is the default theme it will give you, and I show you the website here so that you can see the theme as it is unaltered, because through the rest of the video you will see it as I've adapted it to my blog so far. It is a really neat theme, I believe. I've altered the color scheme a little bit, but I like the layout. I like the visual nature of it as I'm trying to incorporate more photos and images to improve my blog, and it's a good change really. If you saw my blog prior, it totally mixes it up, and so I think it's really going to improve the aesthetics of the blog in a really positive way. The next change I've made over my previous blog design is I've incorporated a custom header. I used a photo that was taken by a family member. It incorporates the sky. The color of the sky goes good with the theme color scheme that I've chosen as well, and leaves enough space to put my name there, which is what I have now. Not really settled on leaving that necessarily, but for now you can see what it looks like with the custom header using my name in that space. It was pretty easy to create this custom header, especially since I already had the photograph, and the photograph was cropped to the proper dimensions for the header. WordPress.com will help you with that. If you go to the menu and select Appearance and Headers, it'll allow you to put a photo in and crop it to the appropriate dimensions. But if you're going to use text in your custom header, just be sure to leave enough space in the middle or to one side or the other to put the text that you would like to have there, the name of your blog or the tagline, whatever it is that you want to incorporate. In this shot you'll also see the photo of the door underneath. Just happens to be the featured image I chose for this page, and I am striving to use a featured image with each post and on each page. It's another benefit of this particular theme that it displays the featured image right there at the top. So I'm hoping again that adds to the aesthetics of the blog. It makes it more pinnable on Pinterest or on Google Plus and Facebook, which are social media pages that really play well with visuals, and I'm finding out that more and more. So the featured image is a really good way to make each of those posts look better, regardless of the content of the post or any other images that might be put into the post. Each of these shots of the different thematic and aesthetic changes that I've made are from my About page, and I've also made some changes to my About page that don't have anything to do with the look of the blog. What I want to point out here is that underneath the title, About Glenn, I have featured prominently the sign-up opportunities that folks have if they want to sign up for my email newsletter. I also have a second email list for a writing workshop that I'm developing, and then the links to my Twitter and Facebook, and I put those there so that it is the first thing that anyone sees when they come to my About page. If they want to know more, if they're not sure if they want to know more when they first come to the page, hopefully as they read through they will decide that they do want to know more, and they know how to find out more. So they can scroll back to the top, sign up for my email updates, or to follow me on social media. The next change that I've made to the content of my About page is I've updated my most viewed posts. I did this by going to my WordPress analytics and I scanned back over the past year. I also, just out of curiosity, looked at my overall most viewed post. I decided to go with my most viewed posts of all time, which were not a whole lot different from the most viewed post of the past year. And I put those titles and linked those in here on my About page. Probably part of the reason for some of these being my most viewed of all time is some of them were featured on here, my About page previously. Some of these have been added as I wrote them over the past year, and they sort of rose through the ranks. And it's a good way a first-time visitor can find out some of the work that best represents you, not only your writing style, but the posts that have best represented you to your audience, as they are the ones that people have looked at the most. Anybody that you read that comments on measuring your success as a blogger will say not to hang your hat completely on the number of page views. There's lots of other metrics to be concerned with, but it's pretty quick and easy determination of what you want to feature on your About page or on another landing page where you want to represent your work or show the work that represents you very well. And it's easy to forget to do this. If you've done this in the past, I'd recommend that you go back and double check your most viewed posts and update those so that you continue to represent your most popular work to new people that come and hopefully will become a part of your audience. What you see in this slide representing the next change I've made is the drop-down menu option. I'm using my iPad, and which is what I use primarily. And as you read, you find out more and more that the way people will view your blog is by a mobile device. And so you see on the right-hand side of the page where the button is next to the search button that drops down the menu. And I not only like the look of this menu, but I've also changed my menu headings, and my menu headings reflect three main categories. In addition to the About Glenn page, which has a sub page of beliefs, mission, and convictions, and the resource page, which do not reflect categories on my blog. You'll see in the middle of the communicate, advocate, and connect are my three pages. And these reflect, I wanted to simplify my categories on my blog, and it's not that these are the only categories I use, but I wanted to be able to separate my posts into one of these three buckets, if you will. Communicate, advocate, and connect. I began the year doing a lot of experimenting, and I started some new blogs, a couple of new blogs, and what I found is that the writing, the time that I put in writing for those blogs obviously takes away from the content that I put onto this blog. And what I'm trying to do is to represent the things that are important to me as a writer on this one blog. So I've separated it out by categories. So in some ways, each of these categories could represent a blog unto themselves. I know that we're told in any reading you do, you don't want to get too broad with your topics. And I feel like I definitely stay with the common thread of faith, family, and fatherhood in each of these categories, which I think is really the important thing. But each of these categories really represent different, in some ways, different purposes in writing, definitely different writing styles, and in some ways different post styles as far as the appearance of the post, the visuals I use. But it's something that you might want to try if you feel like your writing is more diverse and you're trying to cram a lot into your blog, just divide it out. Simplify your categories, push those categories, make those prominent on your menu as menu options. You can share those ever so often when you don't have a specific post that you want to feature on social media. Just ever so often remind people about your communicate page. So I'll post on Twitter, check out my communicate page, my advocate page, my connect page, and even point to my resources. My most viewed page is my About Glenn page next to just my home page. So my home page, my About page, and then looking at the overall most viewed pages and posts, I have a couple of my most viewed posts in there. So it's very important to update these pages and to feature those pages whenever you feature your blog, because it's going to share to people what you are all about as a writer and a blogger. In this slide, and this represents the last point I want to make about the spring cleaning and sprucing up that I've done on my blog so far. I'm not saying I'm finished or that this is by any means what it is going to look like exactly if you come to my blog in the next week, 2 weeks, or a month. I feel like I'm still working out some kinks. But this is an example from my Advocate page. I listed, as you saw on the last slide, Communicate, Advocate, and Connect as my 3 page options in my menu. And what I'm showing here, I haven't added posts in yet, but I explain what the Advocate page and category is all about. One of the previous blogs I started that I've decided I'm not going to continue with, I had called it LifeWire. And so by incorporating those posts into this blog, which is my flagship, this is really where I want to devote my energy right now and direct my audience to, is I'm explaining what LifeWire posts are. And so I use this LifeWire logo, which is just simple typeface, LifeWire, as the featured image, and that's going to designate LifeWire posts. And I explain that LifeWire posts provide pro-life information and insight, and also that any of those posts, I make them very shareable by posting links to the HTML version, the plain text version. I put a markdown version for those that compose in markdown and use that, because these are posts where I'm advocating for something important to me, and I make the opportunity for other bloggers who share my views to share my post verbatim with attribution back to the glenngolf.wordpress.com website. And so I will be adding underneath that bottom paragraph links to several of my LifeWire posts. I just haven't got to that yet, but this is a good example of what I'm doing on those landing pages that I showed you in the menu before.